the things that has excited me the most since we joined ScalePad, and I didn't even know it existed. I don't think it existed when we actually officially got acquired, but by the time we were able to announce the acquisition a month and a half or 2 months later, they had this thing called IT asset disposal. We're going to talk about that today. We got some guys from ScalePad here to tell us all of it, so I don't have to just pretend and make it up as I go along and promise you things that don't really exist, because apparently that's frowned upon now that we're in a larger, more corporate environment. Marnie may have frowned upon it the whole time. I'm not really sure. We just didn't ask. Before we dive into that, though, we do have VCIO Process Bootcamp coming up. This is one that always does really well. We're doing a new format for this. It's going to be in Zoom events, which means that we'll be able to capture this stuff and save it for posterity. You'll be able to go back to the event, download all the materials. Hopefully, it'll be a little more organized, and we'll be able to do some really cool stuff with this platform. It's new. We're going to try it out. We're going to check it out. If you have any interest in it, we'll throw that link out there in the chat as well. Great place, especially if you're just getting started in the platform and struggling with how to tackle this as large a process as rolling out something like Lifecycle Insights. So don't hesitate to come join us there.
Not to confuse folks, but we do also have the budget boot camp, which is just
we do. That one's coming up sooner, isn't it?
Yeah, that's actually sooner. So
somebody should stick a slide in here for that.
By the way, Alex, I resent that you suggested that small vendors are okay to sell vaporware. That's kind of what I understood from your previous comment.
What I said was that we did sell vaporware when we were a small vendor. I believe those are the words that I made that I said. And those came straight from Nick, who was the one writing the vaporware when we were at IT Nation 2019. So if you guys haven't met Luis and Eric, here they are in all of their glory. I had to capture the wonderful photo of Eric from last week. Actually, yesterday. This is Eric.
Yesterday.
Global and his mic drop moment as we wander off the stage. So Eric, Luis, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and kind of let everybody know who you are, what your relationship is here at ScalePad, what your relationship with all of these kind of folks is now that they are ScalePad partners.
For sure. Well, I'll jump in. Well, thanks everybody for giving us a minute of your time. As Alex said, I'm Luis. I've been an MSP for 18 years, and so I tend to have that leaning first in all my thinking around the software stuff and the vendor stuff. So sold my MSP last year, and I'm in the last month and in a few days of my transition out of that business, and so I'll be done at the end of May for goods. There's over-unders on whether I'll be back in the MSP industry at some point or not, and so place your bets now. I think it pulls real hard, but we'll see how much pain I'm willing to endure a second time around. And then, I've had a little bit of fun with the software stuff. I'd written my own documentation platform a while ago that was acquired by IT Glue. That's how I ended up there for about 3 years as VP of product. Then I spent some time at Enable in a marketing role of all things. And then SkillPad came knocking right around the time of the rebrand and all that fun stuff, and joined the rocket ship, and here we are. I'll let Eric do his thing.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and this is pretty exciting. My journey isn't much unlike Luis's. I started as an MSP, worked at an MSP in every role except for the tech side of it, and spent 9 years doing that, and then went over to the vendor side and joined Datto. Spent 6 years at Datto and recognize some of the names and faces on the call today, and am one of the road warriors here at ScalePad now. I've been here for a little over a year and 3 weeks, which seems like just yesterday I started. My role here is to continue to evangelize what ScalePad does and what we bring to the channel and to our partners. I've built out a team of us road warriors. We were on the road literally all week from this picture with Alex and Luis. And might I add, this picture is photoshopped. I didn't really do the mic drop. So
it's way better. It's way better.
Yeah, it would have been awesome had I done it.
Move with Kaseya's mic. So good thing you were the last speaker.
He's really not walking. He's moonwalking back. If you really look at it, he's moonwalking out while dropping the mic. That's it. Looks
so
awesome.
Yeah, I'm out there hitting the streets and doing a ton of events. We've really ramped up our event schedule this year. As of right now, it's looking like we're at about 45 events for the year, which is an incredible feat given
Yeah, I
the
feel like
size
this
team that
slide
we've
is
got.
going to have to be busier. I'm just not
Oh,
sure
yeah.
how we're going to fit all that in there.
It'll certainly grow, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing a lot with a pretty lean team and just doing what we do best and having conversations with MSPs and seeing what's working and what's not working and how we can help.
Well, these folks are used to working with a vendor who likes a lean team, that's for sure. But you guys had something going on that was in the works before we got acquired. Obviously, it takes a long time to put something like this together. It seems so simple and so small, but to me, it is maybe the coolest thing that is happening at ScalePad right now. And I am a gruff and grumpy son of a gun most of the time, but I am very much a fan of leaving this world a better place than we found it. And I think IT asset disposal is something that plays near and dear to my heart there. But I would love for you guys just to introduce this concept, to kind of talk through how it works, and then do a little bit of Q&A around IT asset disposal with our partners, because it's something that number one, it was a struggle for me as an MSP. I was the guy with the pallets of crap in the back room because we didn't know how to get rid of it. And we had a hard drive breaker. We got the manual one because we were cheap and wouldn't buy the one that was a push button that broke them in half. But we're here we are destroying hard drives ourselves and trying to do all of that the hard way. Everybody knew there was a better way, but it was hard to find somebody who on the regular would show up to haul that stuff away. Let's jump in and talk about this, because you guys are actually giving us the ability to ship out this equipment, get certificates of destruction, like do all of this the right way. There's a lot really baked into this. So I'll shut up and let you guys kind of take it away. I think you have the sales pitch on this figured out way better than I do.
No, not a big sales pitch overall. Just we're trying to, I guess, put the final touches on what was maybe an incomplete life cycle management in the honest sense of the word, because it's kind of the last leg of that cradle to grave part of asset lifecycle management. And I have not met an MSP that doesn't have a cobwebby server room somewhere with a bunch of gear piled up, whether it's laptops or workstations or old servers sitting still on the rack collecting dust. And I realize we get busy because we go in, we set up the new stuff, and it's like, oh, we're going to keep the old stuff around for a couple of weeks, make sure everything's okay in case we need to spin the other old stuff back up. And 2 weeks turns into 20 years. So I've seen really big, interesting surprises in the server rooms out there. I don't know, does anybody disagree that this is a problem? I would love to hear from all of you. And so we wanted to bring
I'm even an MSP and have never been one, and I have a server in my basement. So,
that's perfect.
True story.
I have a very similar story to both Alex and Luis. In my MSP days, it was exactly that. It was a pallet in the back, and we loaded it up and waited till it was full. And then it was a challenge with, and this was years back, but all we did was drill holes in the hard drives, and there was no real process. There was no
That's not easy. Let's be
There was-
honest. A hard drive puts up a good fight.
Oh, absolutely. The drill press and those things would start spinning and flying
Smoking
around.
and yeah.
And it's not easy. And
and
at least you were doing that, which is
yeah,
great.
at least we were doing that. But then we were getting everything from, I mean, this was years ago. So all the old huge monitors and all kinds of equipment, and all we did was destroy what we could. And then there was like an electronics recycling day here in Milwaukee, and we just would dump pallets off at it, and not in compliance with things back then, and certainly not now that the world has changed. But yeah, there's certainly a need, and it is a challenge. When I've talked to a lot of MSPs about this, they all have the exact same story. I've got shelves in the back with tons of this stuff, and I don't really know what to do.
Yeah,
So-
target practice is one of the suggestions, which depending on your level of frustrations could be a welcome activity, of course.
We actually used to do that out on my buddy's farm, and then we decided we were making too much fragmented shrapnel in his field, and so that was why we got and then we started spreading them out on a tarp, but they really go flying when you hit them. So there had to be a better way. I think we all knew that, right? It was a matter of finding somebody reliable. At my MSP, we had a recycling guy who would come around. He wasn't the most savory character. You know, he was running around picking up everybody's scrap and hauling it up to Philadelphia to some scrap yard, and I don't know, dipping stuff in crazy chemicals to peel the gold off and doing all kind. And I think he got a little too close to the chemicals a few times. And it's it's
uh,
hard.
yeah,
to
it's
find
so
the right
hard.
way- the right way to get rid of this stuff.
And I'll make 3 comments and then I'll shut up. The first thing is, you know, e-waste is actually only like a small percentage, like 2% of the overall waste in the US, but hazardous waste is 97%. Like hazardous waste from e-waste is about 90 to over 2/3 of the total hazardous waste. So there's a ton of issues with this stuff in particular not being recycled properly. Secondly, I think a ton of MSPs, as well as their clients, primarily their clients, are really more triggered by corporate responsibility now than ever. And as some of the younger generations come into business ownership, business management, I think that corporate responsibility is a big deal. So I think it resonates strongly with folks.
Even if you as an MSP, it doesn't resonate with you, it probably will resonate with the people who write you checks.
Well, I think the main thing is that we understand that in many cases this will also turn into a cycle. You might add the disposal as part of the sale of the new device, and so that will take some time to cycle through all the devices around all your clients that you are replacing. But we've also helped partners already in the first couple weeks of this service dispose of stuff in bulk. We have to currently make special arrangements for larger pickups like that, but the service overall tries to be as simple as the warranty purchase process is, which is literally just a few clicks. The asset's there. You can request a shipping label and then get that to your client. They just put the laptop in a box and send it off, and then we track the whole process in the app and give you a certificate of destruction, which is really cool. And we also plant a tree because we started a partnership with Veritree to do just that. And so we're trying to add to a little bit of the reforestation. Most of the reforestation that we are contributing to for this effort is in the US as well. And we expect a large portion of our market to be in the US. We've only launched in the US to start. So those were my comments. Eric, anything to add?
Yeah, just overall, we looked at that as how can we capitalize on that on the MSP's behalf. We know through our data of ScalePad partners, of just the ScalePad partners, you guys are going through you're retiring 125,000 workstations every single month.
And that's before we've merged lifecycle data to it. That's just ScalePad.
Yeah, so even more. We got to be much more than that now, but. And just thinking of that amount of opportunity that's out there. And as an MSP, the data is being the most important. How do we make sure that data doesn't get leaked? And as we've been talking about spending time destroying things and just overall having that process around it, we're looking at that saying, okay, well, how can we automate and standardize this? What can we do to provide a service that does this and allows for some profit, some margin to be made on it? So the opportunity is there, a ton of opportunity. And then lastly, how do we keep the stuff out of a landfill and dispose of it properly and be good to the earth? And planting a tree for every single device is enormous. And my marketing brain starts running around saying, okay, well, I could use that in my marketing if I'm an MSP and talking to my customers, my client base, just saying, look, I want to be environmentally conscious and do good. So every single device that I'm disposing of, we're taking care of the earth.
Well, as an MSP, being able to say I planted 500 trees for my customers last year while properly disposing of and recycling their equipment, I like that.
And that's exactly how the program's designed. You will know how many that you are responsible for. So that's a pretty cool thing to get out there and use in the marketing. But overall too, just having that process of I've got this device, let me contact ScalePad. We cover the shipping on it. So we send you the shipping label and you throw it on a box, and then we send you the certificate of disposal once it is properly wiped and cleaned, following the NIST 800-88 standard. So it's all safe and well and seamless.
Yeah. And so let's talk pricing, because everybody always wants to know what everything costs. This is cheap. Like one of the things that impressed me when we were talking to partners was, they're immediately when they saw it at the event, they're talking about, I could just add $50 to the invoice, just add a line item. I make money, I do the right thing, and my client's taken care of. So what does it actually cost to have this done?
On the pricing side of it, it varies based on the number, but anywhere from that $20 mark, and you can even do it as a one-off. If you're doing it as a one-off case, it gets a little bit more than that, but for the most part, most of our partners have at least 5-10 devices sitting right in the back right away. And so we're trying to keep it at a price point that is in line with that, where you simply do just add it as a line item. We're even seeing the partners that are adopting this quickly and running out there, they're adding it as a line item on the new sale. So having that on the sale of a new workstation, and to me, that's all about building that true partnership and looking at that relationship with a customer and saying, I'm with you for the next 5 years. I've already got 5-year planning done for you. I'm selling you this workstation. By the way, when it's time to replace it, I've already built into this the process that I have for destroying and disposing of this workstation. So truly making things sticky for your partners and doing it on the front end. I compare it to, all of us, when we replace the tires on our car, we're paying that tire recycling fee. And not any one of us ever thinks twice about it. We're like, yeah, that can't go into landfill. We need to be aware of that. It's along the same premise as that. And that's how we're seeing a lot of our partners doing that.
Yeah. And to Brian's point, I mean, for some of these, you're going to be building it on the front end and the back end, because there's 2,000 assets at your MSP already that you didn't do this for the first go round. Right. So you can even bill for the new one and the old one as we work through it. So, a lot of value here. I'm just in love with the fact that here we are planting trees out in California, and was it California and Oregon where they're doing
to start? Yeah, California.
Yeah. Where we've had big forest fires and things like that they're going out and planting and reforesting the places that need it the most. So yeah, Steve, I think to that point, shipping does, there is a shipping cost in there, and I don't know the exact calculator, but it's all included. And you start to get discounts as you do more of them, on discounts on the shipping and ways to make that easier and cheaper, is my understanding. I don't have all the answers on it today, but and servers, we don't do servers today, right? That's
servers. Yes, we'll do workstations and servers.
Okay.
But we're not set up for anything without a typical processing motherboard. We're looking into doing things like even small items like modems or routers or switches and things like that in the future. But at the moment, workstation servers, and this requires just sort of we're kind of in beta. We didn't call it that, but this was the biggest ask or the biggest need to start was workstations for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Large MFPs. Yeah, you're not going to see the shipping bill on those. Is there a drive only option today? If they want to send back just a drive out of like an MFP or something like that?
Not at the moment.
It's a question we should ask though. That's one where there might be value, and while we probably there's a very small likelihood that we can ever handle an entire MFP. Floor standing copiers are stupid heavy and expensive, and you'll spend hundreds of dollars to ship it across the country. But if we could get the drives out of them and handle those, there might be some. We
did work out a deal with one of our partners. He's been keeping these things in his basement for years, and he actually did was 150 workstations at once. So in that case, we had to get pretty creative with how we were getting those to the destruction facility and tracking all of that. But yeah, if you've got quantity of this, we can certainly take it off your hands and dispose of it properly. But you can even do this one by one. And we're seeing some of our partners even having just their client put it in the box. When you get a new laptop, put the old one in a box, put the label on it, and you're done.
And the more we get to work from home, and like there's a ton of value in that, right? Your new machine will show up, put the old one back in the box, slap the label on it, and out
Yeah.
the door it goes.
And by the way, we totally know that a lot of MSPs are definitely proactive with their local recycling options, and they do get some of their free pickups, and all that's great. But I do see a ton of those remote workers or geos that are not nearby or situations like that. So I think there's a little bit of an option there for those situations.
Well,
for
and
sure.
when we did it ourselves, it was time consuming, right? Those drives are not easy to destroy. SSDs are the easiest thing to destroy ever, but the traditional hard drives are hard to destroy. It was time consuming. It wasn't something that we were making money at, and we weren't able to provide a real certificate of destruction. And in this world, where data leaks and data breaches are so sensitive, I think this is a way better option for most folks. And oh, by the way, you can actually make money at it. Let's not forget that part. So that was the kind of quick and easy conversation I wanted to have today. It's not nearly as long as some of these calls go. We're happy to take any other questions and comments and concerns you guys have. But I do want to just end this conversation, kind of put a bookend on it with, if somebody has questions about this, is there anybody on the call here who doesn't feel like you know who at ScalePad to reach out to? If you need to know, there you go. Luis will happily throw himself in the middle of this, but it's important that all of you guys know every one of you has a ScalePad account manager who's going to be assigned to you if they haven't been already. So if you need something, reach out to Luis, reach out to me, reach out to Marnie. We will help you guys get access to your ScalePad account manager. And then we can make it easier for you to have these kind of conversations, because they know all of the products and services under the ScalePad, or at least they're getting up to speed on all of the products and services under the ScalePad umbrella, where Marnie and I still live over here in our little fiefdom of the Lifecycle Insights product, and we're just not as up to speed on some of these other things. So.
I'm laughing.
Look at me
comment, Luis.
complaining about non-ISO compliant email spellings.
Yeah.
I love
realized
extraterrestrial email for.
I realized
Bitly. Oh,
yeah. I realized Bitly actually cares about the capital letters. This thing gets really nasty, and I probably it because it doesn't work if you do it.
Doesn't work. No.
Yeah. So we don't know who Mark at ScalePad is yet, so it may not be our Mark, but you can send him some email just to find out. Yeah. Oh, our Mark is muted. That's okay. But
Not me. I don't know who that Mark is, but the more the merrier. It's gonna be like, hey, one for each Mark. We'll go from there.
Steve, yes, there is a release going out this weekend with the Insights report. The opportunities went out last weekend. So if you use ConnectWise Manage, you can now create or link to opportunities. And then this weekend, if you have customer success, the Insights report will be live.
We got slowed down there a little bit with unified billing and making sure that we could play nice with the rest of the ScalePad stuff, but our devs are back at it and working hard. So cool stuff still coming. All right. Well, we could give you guys back 29 minutes on a Friday. That's enough to close like 2 tickets or drink a beer. So we'll give you guys a little bit of time back. If you have questions, we'll hang out till the room starts emptying out. If there's anything you want to talk about, I'll be here. But with that, I think we'll give you guys a few minutes back in your day. I know
Thanks,
Luis
Eric and Luis, for joining us.
They can get a power nap between this and their next call.
I don't know about that, but I'll certainly be wishing for one. That's the certainty.
There you go.
I have a question, if you don't mind me hopping in. I was trying to be polite just in the chat, but since we're opening it up, I'm curious around, co-managed VAR, I call them VAM clients.
Yep.
Value added MSP. Yes, it's an acronym within an acronym, but it's way better than a VAR. What about the situation where maybe the end client doesn't need the MSP to be as hands-on with getting rid of their equipment?
Yeah.
Right. Can we have a child account, right, underneath our account with ScalePad, where they can work directly with you for these types of services? And how might that work? Right. We don't want to be a bottleneck and slow down their ability to get rid of equipment where they feel like they have to contact us and then we have to contact you. Maybe there's some concierge service we can do where there's an idea of, hey, my end client can work directly with you if they have a high enough volume that they're regularly dealing with, right?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that, Brian. Thanks for the question. It's not really possible today because of the way the service is set up to work directly in the app. And I'd suggest that maybe you could have your customers in the Lifecycle Manager app, but it's not ideal today because we don't have the ability to limit somebody's access to only a specific client or anything like that yet. That is something that's being discussed a lot because people want to give a little bit more granular access to individual clients inside of Lifecycle Manager. So in theory, not possible because the idea is that all of this is just a few clicks within the app only. It's not really an out of app or a custom process. But this is the kind of thing that we'd love the feedback, and the process or service can continue to evolve if we're seeing a strong need to do it a different way.
Yeah, I would imagine you'd want some sort of minimum commit, right? We're going to see X amount of devices per month or whatever. Because on the flip side too, it's like, do I need to be involved with providing them the certificate of destruction, or can they view that on their own without me even involved, right? Once they ship it and it arrives. It's kind of, there's compliance around this. And while we do help our clients with compliance, there's certain things with compliance we feel like it's either a waste of our time to get involved, or it slows the process down, right?
Yeah, it'll be all automated within the app with the certificate and everything. And so my short answer would be that, at some point, if we decide to do the granular access, the ability for you to give one of your clients a login to ScalePad or to Lifecycle Manager where they can see just their business, then they'd be able to self-serve all those things potentially in the future. But that doesn't exist today. And so I won't make that promise, but I'll keep tabs on that for sure, because the granular permission-based access is something we hear a bunch about all the time. So
yeah, we'll get together with you guys and put together a feature request for that. It's something that we supported on our side in the Lifecycle Insights app today. So that would be really interesting to be able to extend that over.
Yeah, and I appreciate that answer. I didn't expect you to have a solution today, but I wanted to bring it up as, if anything, a roadmap item, right? Yeah.
So Dusty, you guys get a certificate of destruction that's tied to the asset. It's going to come to you, but of course it should be provided to your customer at the end, right? That's the end goal. Yep.
Yep.
Good. Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
I do see that question about the cert of destruction. The whole premise behind that is so that you could deliver that to your customer. You could, that's why it's there.
Is that branded?
No, in fact, we've actually created a bunch of materials that are they follow a little bit of a branding scheme, but they're not, they're white labeled for the most part, or just brandless, so you can share informational stuff to your clients, how the program works, what's the security stuff. I'll see if I can find those right now, and I'll put a couple links up. I think I can attach files here even, so just give me a second.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool, thanks.
And we can, Marnie, if you grab those, we should probably send them out with the recording for anybody who left earlier, anybody who watches this later.
Can't send a file, but I can send a link.
Perfect.
MailChimp would be giving me the big hard pass on that. Like, no.
So grumpy. MailChimp.
Well, it looks like
Anybody
the
else
file
want-
that I thought I had access to might have moved, but
That's okay. If you can get it to us, we can send it out with
Yeah,
the
if you
recording.
slide
Yeah.
it to me a second.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, everybody, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully the weather's better there than it is here, but the good news is, Marnie, it should be stamping down the pollen, so you should be finding some relief with the
Counting on it. Yep.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll be back next
Weekend.
week. We'll see you then, and have a good one.
thanks for having us.
Thanks for
your
coming. We'll have you
Thanks,
plenty
everyone.
more.